This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Larry O'Connor founded Otherworld Computing, which is also called OWC, in 1988. Their website, which you may know better, is macsales.com. OWC is both a reseller and a developer, supporting all things Mac for more than 25 years. And as you may have noticed, they're also a sponsor of the Buzz. Hello, Larry. Welcome back.
Hey, good evening, Larry. How you doing tonight?
Mike and I are looking forward to this conversation because every time we talk to you, we learn something new. So,
hey, Larry, I've always wanted to ask this question. Why do we have to go to macsales.com instead of OWC.com?
Well, somebody beat us to the punch on OWC.com by about 3 years. We registered macsales.com in 1995, but OWC was registered about 3 years prior.
Really? And they won't
Yes, sir.
And they won't give it up?
Now, there's some multi-billion-dollar financial conglomerate that's changed names maybe not a dozen times, but many times over the years, and they are pretty. We attempted, but the long and the short of it is they've never been willing to give up that name.
Jerks.
Just don't have any sense of humor.
No, exactly.
Larry,
they only used it for email too, which is like, they never had a website there, and it's like, darn it, oh well.
Wow. Jeez.
Larry, the last time you were on the Buzz, we were talking about problems between Mac OS X Yosemite, version 10.10, and SSD drives. Now, apparently, there's a problem with RAIDs and Mac OS X El Capitan. What's the problem?
Well, it's actually hit it two ways. In my opinion, there's always kind of been a problem with Apple RAID volumes on any Mac OS version, just from the standpoint that once you create a RAID with the disk utility, if there's an issue, if you create a RAID 1, for example, if something happens to one of your two drives, unless you've gone into the disk utility and gotten more info on your RAID set, you have no information to even tell you that there's a problem. One of your drives could fail, and it continues operating just like every day until, the other drive fails. So it's kind of, one shoe is dropped, and you'll find out that there's a problem when both of them have gone offline. And that's been for years. Apple has updated the RAID capability and disk utility for more than 5 years. I think it may even be 6 or 7 years. With El Capitan, they actually took away the ability to create a RAID with disk utility. There's still ways to do it with terminal and some effectively terminal line commands, but there is no official RAID support now at all with 10.11 and later. Your current RAIDs continue to. Well, they haven't done anything with it. I mean, as far as continuing to support it, it's not been something that they've really done anything with for years. And any of the current computers they're putting out, they don't have internal bays for drives. There's nothing from Apple's point of view. I mean, there's nothing they ship that they should be supporting RAID on. And if somebody is connecting devices they can RAID, when you use disk utility, now it's a support incident if there's an issue. They're supporting something that requires third-party hardware, and it puts them in the middle of things that I can understand them not wanting to be in. So with 10.11, they just took the functionality away.
Now, I want to be really clear here. With disk utility, we can create RAID 0s or RAID 1s. That's what it's been able to do in the past. If I've used...
Up to 10.10.
Pardon?
Up to 10.10.
Okay, so my question is, if I've created a RAID in OS 10.10 using disk utility, and it's a RAID 0, will it work when I upgrade to 10.11, or does the RAID break?
The RAID does not break. You just no longer have the ability to maintain it. It continues to function just fine, but it's no longer a supported volume in disk utility. And if you want to create a new RAID 0, you can't do so with disk utility under 10.11.
So existing RAIDs are fine, but creating a new RAID is the problem. Granted, fine in relative terms, but if you upgrade, you haven't lost your data. Your RAID doesn't die. You're not totally screwed, so you can keep your data. I just want to make sure how severe this problem is before we get carried away.
Well, I didn't recall that problem. It's just a removal of a function. The problem really is notification and disk health monitoring, but in terms of it being a problem, it's just they've taken away a feature that was supported is no longer supported. So your existing volumes, your existing hard drive sets are grandfathered in, but you can't create new volumes, not using disk utility.
Now, to create something else like a RAID 5, we've never been able to create that in disk utility, which means that now we have to have some sort of a software tool that allows us to create a RAID 0 or a RAID 1 or a RAID 5. Do you guys have something that fills that gap?
Well, we have soft RAID 5, of course, which gives you RAID 0, 1, 0 plus 1, 5. It also provides that disk health monitoring, including the predictive analysis. So even before there's an issue that would trip SMART and tell you that there's something to worry about, soft RAID gives really good information, is looking at a lot of information on the drive and how it's behaving to give you a much earlier warning than you otherwise get from SMART. Now, one of the, no, I won't go into too much. I don't want to, how to say, badmouth. That's not even badmouth, but
oh, come on,
one organization, when we explained how soft RAID actually monitored and watched drive behavior and would tell you that there's a probability of failure, they said, well, doesn't that create more RMAs? Well, technically, if a drive's going to fail, it's going to fail. And you could have a drive that's, approaching, or is starting to do things that lead towards failure, with still 6 months or a year, even longer before it actually bites the dust. So technically, it increases more warranty incidents. However, for us, we'd rather replace that drive than have a customer, lose data or have a risk of being down because a drive has gone offline. If we can tell you that if there's something going on, hard drives fail. Drives, are not. That's just a fact. Whether it's a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's a mechanical beast. You should have good backups. There's 1,000 things we can talk about there. But if there is a drive that's starting to go south, sooner than later is better to know that that's happening. So you can, at your own discretion, of your own free will, swap that drive and not be in the middle of an important project when something actually could otherwise happen.
Now, there's another issue I was thinking about. If we've created a RAID with disk utility, can I then switch over to soft RAID without losing my data? Or if I use soft RAID to take an existing RAID and upgrade it so I can monitor it, have I lost all of my data?
No, soft RAID, a couple of things. First off, when you install soft RAID onto your Mac, not only will it monitor the drives that it's initialized, that it's actually taken control over, it also will start monitoring all the drives that it has access to in your system. So you get you get help monitoring even of your solid state drives. So anything that's, whether it's a Mac Pro 2013 or the latest iMac, or it's irrelevant. The drives that are in that system will be monitored whether they're a RAID volume or not. In addition, soft RAID is able to take over an existing RAID. And taking over the RAID enhances its notification and its ability to really check out and know what's going on with the drive, including certifying the drive. And the other nice thing with RAID 1, a lot of people use RAID 1s because data is important. You want to have that live redundancy. When soft RAID takes over a RAID 1, it's actually providing performance on the read side that's twice as fast as Apple's RAID 1, plus all the great notification, all the live monitoring, all the things that are great because it kills me. That Apple's RAID 1, again, you can, the whole point of having a RAID 1 is to have redundancy. You set up, you set it up with the Apple RAID and nothing, the RAID 1 itself is fine with Apple. It's slower than ours, half the speed on the read anyhow. But a drive can fail and you never know about it unless the other drive fails and you find out, well, both drives bit the dust. So software will take over an existing RAID set. It doesn't have to, but there's certainly benefits for it to do so. And you do not have to start over with and reinitialize and retransfer the data. It will take it over non-destructively. And right now we have soft RAID 5, which is a $179 application. All the soft RAID applications are enterprise class solutions in terms of their data integrity, their checksumming. This is not just a command line interface. This is some heavy duty stuff. This weekend, soft RAID Lite will launch, which will provide all the great features in terms of the disk monitoring and such that soft RAID 5 offers, but be limited to just providing the RAID 0 and the RAID 1 support, which covers a large percentage of what people's needs are out there. So to give you, for $49, you have an application that will give you everything that Apple's disk utility previously provided for RAID support, plus the faster RAID 1, plus the drive monitoring, the actual health monitoring that if you're going to have a RAID set, especially a RAID 0 set, it's to a certain degree, it's playing with fire not to have some sort of real health monitoring going on. And people say, why use smart monitoring? I'd almost have to say that smart is an industry standard, and some of the testing you would think was probably kind of driven by the hard drive manufacturers, because by the time smart starts to tell you that there's something maybe up with your drive or probably up with your drive, by that point in time, you've typically already been having system issues. You don't want to have system issues if they can be avoided. And yeah, Smart will tell you it's time to replace a drive, but if that's been after system lockups and crashes and probably data loss, it's a little late.
SoftRaid version 5.1 this is not shipping until October 26 for El Capitan. We just got to make that clear. Okay.
Well, it's available now. Let's take a step back.
SoftRaid. It doesn't say it's available now on its website. It's it just
the beta. Yeah,
maybe the beta, but it's anyway. It's shipping. It says it's shipping October 26.
Correct. Yeah, it's shipping. It'll begin shipping this Sunday, as will SoftRaid Lite. And there's to take a step back. The version 507 of SoftRaid is El Capitan compatible, but the in-menu notification is disabled. Apple made a change between 10.10 and 10.11, and the 5.10 version accommodates that change.
Do you use SoftRaid, Larry?
Yeah, we have.
You do?
We have 3. I've got an OWC. I've got 4 OWC raids here, and they're all running SoftRaid.
They're all running SoftRaid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, to be clear, there is a difference between a software RAID and a hardware RAID. Other companies like Promise and GTEC or even CalDigit are using hardware RAID controllers. Is a hardware RAID?
I'll stop you in CalDigit. CalDigit's multi-base solution is not a hardware RAID.
Forgive me, I'll restate that. Promise and GTEC, which are 2 well-known companies, use hardware. Are hardware RAIDs affected by this change? Only software RAIDs, correct? Software RAIDs created by disk utility. I'm just trying to get my arms wrapped around the size of the problem.
Well, technically, no one's RAIDs are affected by the OS update. What's affected is an end user, an actual user's ability to create new RAIDs moving forward, under 10.11. And if you have a hardware RAID, you'd be using your hardware RAID box to accommodate the problem. If you're using a software RAID, then at this point, you should have our RAID, software RAID.
Now, you chose to go to software RAID. Why do you like a software RAID better than a hardware RAID?
Number one, it's faster. It allows you to take advantage of, multiple buses. You can create multiple RAIDs across the same solution. It gives you greater flexibility than you could ever get from a hardware RAID. And the other big thing is just the ability to properly monitor drives. There's really not a good solution, at least certainly in the competition. The kind of health monitoring that occurs is pretty well limited to what Smart reports, and you're in the same circumstance if you're just using a Smart utility on your computer. There's better health analysis from the software RAID because it's looking at what those drives are doing, how they're behaving, as well as using Smart attributes to do some predictive analysis and actually identify a problem before it becomes a visible problem. And the other thing you can't do with any hardware RAID, which I personally do, and I think it's just freaking awesome, is have multiple RAID sets across a single set of drives. And if you want a scratch area, you can do a RAID 0. If you want to have light redundancy, you can have a RAID 5 on that set. For maximum redundancy and some extra performance, you can do a RAID 0 plus 1. You can do a RAID 1 across 4 drives, and you can do all these different RAIDs at the same time on the same drive set, so you can move your data from its editing space to its storage space. So that's, to me, is a really nice thing. And the other cool thing about software, when you set these volumes up, it'll allow you to create the partition in a way that is using the fastest part of the drive for the kind of partition that you're setting up, for the work that needs that speed. So you're archiving, and in the case of spinning platters, it doesn't apply to SSDs, but in the case of spinning platters, software will use the outermost tracks on those drives for your RAID 0 portion, and you can use the tracks that are more inner for the RAIDs that are more for redundancy than they are for maximum performance. So you always know you have the fastest part of the drive when you're doing that work. And again, a RAID 5 across 2 Thunder Bays across 2 Thunderbolt ports also provides pretty darn amazing performance.
Larry and I at the top of the show were talking about when you should upgrade to the latest operating system. And I came up with 6 weeks after. What do you come up with, Larry? And when should we upgrade?
Well, there's 2 points when you should upgrade. Point number 1 is you have an application that absolutely requires it that you can't live without. Point number 2 is where maximum pressure is 3. Point number 2, perhaps, is when there's a feature that you really want to take advantage that new OS brings to the table. And I suppose point number 3 would be, even if there's not a great new feature, and there's some things that appeal to you, and you just want to bring it up to date. I'd honestly wait as long as I can to make sure.
Well, we're talking generically speaking, so I say 6 weeks. I still stick with that.
Larry, there's a bunch.
6 weeks, if you don't have to, why upgrade?
Yeah, that's true.
Larry, there's a bunch of other questions I just need short answers to because there's some cool stuff you're doing that doesn't necessarily affect RAIDs. Tell me about this new mini version of the Envoy SSD. What's this?
The Envoy Pro Mini it's been a great success. It's a key size drive, a little flash drive, but it's an SSD, in that small profile. We've been shipping 120 gig and 240 gig since May. Our 40 gig will begin shipping in about 2 weeks. So you now have 480 gigs in this little tiny key size drive that also provides performance of up to over 400 megabytes a second.
Oh my gosh!
But how does it attach? Is it USB 3 or is it Thunderbolt or what?
That's USB 3. There's honestly no real reason to kick it to Thunderbolt. It's USB 3. It's bus powered. Use it on a Mac, use it on a PC, transfer data between Macs and PCs with it. But it's great for running those quick data sets between different systems.
One of the other questions is the brand new iMacs that were released, both the 21 and the 27 inch. The RAM inside the 21 inch is soldered in. Can we get more RAM for a 27, and what's the maximum we can get?
Sure. The 21 inch, buy 16 gigs when you buy that machine. It's a nice machine, but 16 gigs is the max. If you skimp at the time you buy it, you can never upgrade it, as you noted. The 27 inch, we offer upgrades. Well, Apple offers upgrades up to 32 gig. We offer, up to 32 gig sets as well, which are at a substantial cost reduction or discount, I should say, versus Apple. But even more important, we offer up to 64 gigabytes. And there's plenty of applications where that gap between 32 and 64 really enables a lot of performance to be unlocked, where you're not processor bound as you are memory resource bound. So these 64 gig kits, which is double what the Apple factory maximum allows, we offer 48 gig also as an option. Really put this machine, take it from a high-end consumer machine and start to put it into that low-end Pro machine, somewhere between that Mac Pro and an iMac that can only go to 32. Only the new model that Apple just began shipping last week can go to 64 gigabytes.
One last quick question. If you've got an older laptop and you're debating about whether to upgrade the laptop or buy a new one, and money does not grow on trees, can you upgrade the older laptop, and what would you recommend?
You can upgrade laptops. We can go further, but pretty much every MacBook or MacBook Pro from 2006 to 2012, every Mac Mini, up until up till early 2014. Every Mac Pro Silver Tower through 2012 has exceptional upgrade opportunities. And these machines, by and large, have never been so much processor bound as they've been I/O and memory bound. So putting the maximum memory in these systems, putting in a solid-state drive is transformational. Things like DaVinci Resolve require powerful GPUs, which is a reason to get a new system. But for everything else, having memory, having an OWC SSD in your system, our SSDs are built for these, built to take advantage, especially the 3G machines, are really specifically attuned to give those machines their best performance.
Yeah, I got a 2012 MacBook Pro in front of me right now with an OWC SSD drive in my DVD drive, and use that as my boot up drive. I got the maximum amount of RAM. I'm ready to go. I'm set for the next 3-4 years. I'm fine.
So, Larry, for people that do want to get the latest gear or find out the latest information, where can they go on the web?
www.macsales.com. And very important, all the videos are there to show people, even before if you're not sure, you can watch the videos, see how easy it is to do these upgrades.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll leave you with, a 2008, a 2009 MacBook Pro with an SSD and a memory upgrade will beat a 2012, even a 2012 13 is still the current.
Larry, hold.
It'll beat
We'll
those
have to defend that
what
later.
What are you talking about?
Thanks,
2008
Larry.
will beat a 2012?
Bye-bye.
Really? Oh, for God's sake.
If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching the Digital Production Buzz.